wathinta abafazi wathinta imbokodo, hayi 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 wathinta abafazi wathinta imbokodo. Viva viva thinta abafazi wathinta imbokodo, hayi wathinta 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 abafazi imbokodo. Go down the phone. Thinta abafazi wathinta imbokodo, hayi wathinta abafazi wathinta imbokodo, hayi wathinta abafazi wathinta imbokodo, thinta abafazi wathinta imbokodo, hayi wathinta 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 abafazi wathinta imbokodo, hayi thinta 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 abafazi wathinta imbokodo. I argue that we often pretend that there are mild rapes and brutal rapes, terrible but understandable rapes versus inexplicable and inexcusable rapes. When we do so, we often speak of the rapes of children and old women as the worst kind of rapes, yet they form part of the very fabric of rape in the country. They are neither rare nor different in their brutality. All rape is brutal. It is not possible to speak of some rapes as the worst without suggesting, at the very least, that some rapes are understandable, but this system of gradation goes to the heart of the problem. It will never be possible to eliminate the rapes considered most brutal without dismantling what makes rape not just possible, but also so permissible in our society. There is not much we can do about the past, but there is a wealth of different options in the present. If we are as seriously disturbed by rape as a society as we say we are, furthermore, as Grace Musila's comments on this manuscript help me better understand, there are overlaps between the designation of some rape as the worst because they are enacted on the bodies of babies and old women on the one hand, and curative corrective rape. Both kinds are defined as a shared logic of compulsory literal and symbolic availability of all women to male heterosexual pleasure. In other words, both the responses to the former and the existence of the latter draw from the taken for granted assumption that all women should literally and theoretically be available for the pleasure of heterosexual men. Crudely put, society raises us to believe that this is the function of women's bodies, to please men sexually and symbolically. This is why women are accused of overreacting when we are angered by public sexual harassment codified as legitimate appreciation. It is because of this underlying assumption that heterosexual men's pleasure not only trumps our displeasure, but that it nullifies our experience of unwanted attention as threatening. Therefore, the outrage at baby and elderly rape is because these are children, women who lie outside the society-sanctioned bounds of sexual availability because they are too young or too old, while curative or corrective rape is about punishing women who lie within the sexual eligibility window for heterosexual male consumption, but they dare not to be available, hence the belief that they deliberately choose to make themselves unavailable to male sexual gratification and can therefore be punished and or violently recovered.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never.
Hi everyone, My name is Oyama Mdleleni. This is my YouTube channel. Today, this is a special episode that the Lord has prompted me to cover. I'm sitting outside. I just felt like the birds, to hear the wind blowing. So today is my birthday. Yes, it's my birthday. I'm turning 39 years, and today is Good Friday. What a humbling moment that for the first time that I can remember that my birthday coincides with Good Friday, the day we all know, the day most of us we treasure as the family of faith. We treasure where we know that Jesus died for us. He was crucified so that we can have life and live life abundantly. So he died for our sins. He died for the pain that we are in. He died for our mistakes on this day, so that we may have life and life in abundance. So this is what this is what this day represents for me. When I read John 10:10, reads, "The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life." This verse for me is the one that I live by every day. I've shared my story of being raped as a child, as a 6-year-old, and I felt rejected by my family. I felt abandoned by my mother and also by my father, who had died when I was 9 months old. And I was raped again on my matric year at gunpoint by 2 men. And I was raped again in a relationship that was so abusive and toxic. Repeatedly, physically, I was abused physically, I was abused sexually, I was abused financially, and I was abused psychologically. So I've shared this story on a number of occasions in social media, sharing my story, and now to still be alive and being able to share my testimony on this day, and to say that God has done it. God has given me the voice. God has restored my life. He's healing me. He's healing me. I am feeling this life of abundance. As much as the pain, all the bad things that had happened to me, and we feel being numb for years to all of it, not taking it in, not acknowledging it, and the way I was responding to it, it left me a very fearful person. It left me a very angry woman, and it left me a very insecure. I was very insecure in all that I did, in spaces that the Lord had placed me in. I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't value myself. I got myself into some bad relationships in terms of men and also in terms of friendships, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't value myself. I didn't know what I stood for. And on this journey, this is where I'm discovering all those things. I'm discovering what I like, because growing up, I never even had dreams. I never had aspirations. I didn't know what I was good at. I didn't know that I could, pardon the cars that are moving up and down and the noise. I didn't know what I was good at. I didn't know what I was passionate in. I didn't know what my talent was. I didn't know that I could use. I didn't know that we are all gifted and talented, and we can use our gifts and talents. Lord can use our gifts and talents that He has placed in us to prosper us. And I didn't even know that I had the key to my own healing. As much as the Lord is restoring me, but on a daily basis, I have to remind myself that I am created for a purpose. There's a reason why I'm still breathing. There's a reason why I'm still here. and I look at my life with 5 children, married for close to 20 years now, and we're able to take care of our kids to school, we're able to feed and clothe our kids because of the Lord's provision, the Lord's protection over us, and we are able to do all those things because he's faithful. When I look back at my life, all that he has done for me, as much as I shared that I didn't have aspirations, I didn't have any dreams, but he strategically moved my life in where he placed me, the things I studied being able to relocate from Cape Town to Johannesburg, where there's more opportunities in Johannesburg, and being able to get me into programs that I had no business, I knew nothing about, and the jobs where I worked, and elevating me in such a way that it is unexplainable for a girl who grew up in a shack, a girl who was essentially abandoned and rejected and raped repeatedly, for a girl who felt alone. I would cry, I would go outside and cry for hours and hours, and because I felt like I was alone, for a girl essentially who was broken, for a girl who was broken. But I can sit here and say, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I have been reading this book. I've been reading this book. It's Rape, a South African Nightmare. It's by Dr. Phumla Dineo-Gqola. And this book, I bought this book 4 or 5 years ago. At that point in my life, I was not ready for it, but I was drawn to it. When I bought it, I was drawn to it, but I was not ready to read it because I was not near sitting down and acknowledging and the pain that I was in. I was not near the healing process that I am currently in now at least for the past 2 years on this journey of healing. I was not near. So I was not near the healing. I was not near the healing. I was not near the... So I've been reading this book. It's by Dr. Phumla Dineo-Gqola. It's Rape, a South African Nightmare. So this book, I bought it 4 or 5 years ago, and at that time I was not in a space to receive this book and to make good use of it and for it to help me, because I was not near acknowledging the pain I was in. I was not near healing. And this book, as much as I'm still in the process, I have not yet finished reading it, but I have so far have some takeaways. I will share my how this book is. I will share in a separate video my takes from this book, and in relation also to my story, and also see if also can make recommendations. And but what so far what I've seen, what has caught my eye is how she talks to the issue of how rape in South Africa, there's a separation in terms of There's rape that is seen as the rape of children and elderly women, that is seen as brutal rape because it's children and elderly, and therefore they are defenseless, they can't defend themselves. But also then there's this other side of rape, where the rape of now, where she talks, I will just read a portion. I argue that we often pretend that there are mild rapes and brutal rapes, terrible but understandable rapes versus inexplicable and inexcusable rapes. When we do so, we often speak of the rapes of children and old women as the worst kind of rapes, yet they form part of the very fabric of rape in the country. They are neither rare nor different in their brutality. All rape is brutal. It is not possible to speak of some rapes as the worst without suggesting, at the very least, that some rapes are understandable, but this system of gradation goes to the heart of the problem. It will never be possible to eliminate the rapes considered most brutal without dismantling what makes rape not just possible, but also so permissible in our society. There is not much we can do about the past, but there is a wealth of different options in the present. If we are as seriously disturbed by rape as a society as we say we are, furthermore, as Grace Musila's comments on this manuscript help me better understand, there are overlaps between the designation of some rape as the worst because they are enacted on the bodies of babies and old women on the one hand, and curative corrective rape. Both kinds are defined as a shared logic of compulsory literal and symbolic availability of all women to male heterosexual pleasure. In other words, both the responses to the former and the existence of the latter draw from the taken for granted assumption that all women should literally and theoretically be available for the pleasure of heterosexual men. Crudely put, society raises us to believe that this is the function of women's bodies, to please men sexually and symbolically. This is why women are accused of overreacting when we are angered by public sexual harassment codified as legitimate appreciation. It is because of this underlying assumption that heterosexual men's pleasure not only trumps our displeasure, but that it nullifies our experience of unwanted attention as threatening. Therefore, the outrage at baby and elderly rape is because these are children, women who lie outside the society-sanctioned bounds of sexual availability because they are too young or too old, while curative or corrective rape is about punishing women who lie within the sexual eligibility window for heterosexual male consumption, but they dare not to be available. Hence, the belief that they deliberately choose to make themselves unavailable to male sexual gratification and can therefore be punished and or violently recovered. We are for males' pleasure, for their consumption, that we are seen as just, not even trophies, but we are seen as just as satisfiers of male pleasure. I've been a victim of this, both the one that is regarded as brutal and the one that is regarded as curative or correction or corrective rape. So I know both sides. I've been a victim of both sides. Where when I was a baby, my cousins, my cousin and also my aunt's husband's nephew, they saw that they could do it and get away with it, and they did that. They could do it and get away with it, but the community and my family didn't even see it as brutal. That means also not everyone sees it as brutal. Yes, some parts of society or some individuals in our societies do regard rape of children and elderly as brutal, but there are those who feel like the child is gonna grow and they won't remember it, they will heal from it, or it won't even affect them for the rest of their lives, but it does. And it's a pity that our society has this this mentality and this belief. This has affected a lot of women from childhood. It's said that we really, men get away with it and they go unpunished, even for the brutal rapes. Curative and corrective, women don't even report those, the ones that are regarded as curative and corrective, where so the curative, which is for also LGBTQI communities, that is affected. LGBTQI community, we've heard of so many incidents of rape as a corrective measure, as a curative measure, and also it has gone unpunished for so many instances, in so many cases. It has gone unpunished. That's why in my other video I did call for gender-based violence in South Africa to be declared a national state of disaster, because I believe that is the way we can really have collective effort, because now it just feels like some departments, or even communities, or even society and churches, some might not know their role in addressing this social ill, whereas we all have a role to play as a society, as churches, as traditional leaders, as government, as businesses. We all have a role to play. And I like it also when Dr. Phumla Dineo-Qola talks about the issue of saying that we talk about rape as if it is perpetratorless. There's no perpetrator to the it's like, she even makes an example of saying, it's like there's aliens that just drop by on their spaceship and conduct these vicious and terrible acts, and then they just go again off back to their planet, and we left here wondering what happened. And also she makes mention that, to say that let's stop asking for solutions from women only, as if they are the ones who as if they ask for this to happen to them, and let's collectively sit and look at possible solutions in terms of also prevention, mitigation, and preparedness for such vile acts that are happening in our society. And I think I shared what and that was my birthday, and I'm really grateful that I've made it to 39 and I'm healing. The Lord has really been there. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you feel inspired, and have a lovely Easter, and stay safe, and let's all do our part. Let's all play our part. Thank you.